available to Cloud9. Kha'Zix will be available in their pick rotation. Mundo will be available in their pick rotation, and Kassadin has been locked in blindly as the first pick for Ocelot, and that is something we have not seen all that much to be the very first pick. We saw it in the first rotation earlier, and of course Riven is available as well, so a few champions that we haven't seen all that much of this tournament being picked up.
Yeah, we would typically say that Kassadin is a brave play to pick him up at first pick, because there are a lot of things that can go wrong and a lot of champions you can pick that can make his life very difficult in laning phase. But we've seen it before. Kassadin, if he gets ahead, will end the game basically by himself. And that's always something Cloud9 are going to have to stay on top of. But if they shut him down, then Kassadin doesn't do very much.
I'm not sure that bringing up Kassadin ending games by himself is right what you want to do with Ocelot in the game, as I'm sure Xpeke is having nightmares. Well, Ocelot's having nightmares about Xpeke, but Ocelot is very formidable on Kassadin himself. Really has just been a great player on Kassadin through many games, so not too surprising to see it locked in. It's very confident, as we always have seen from Ocelot. So whether this whether this Riven will be a top lane, where we've seen Riven before a number of times this tournament, or whether it'll be mid, which it is now evident it is more likely to be a mid Riven because of the Dr. Mundo lock-in alongside Karma, that could give Ocelot some trouble, because Riven into Kassadin is a fairly good match for early on.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do very much at all. The silence is a little bit annoying for Riven, but Riven is basically melee range, and she destroys bruisers in melee range, and Kassadin is not a bruiser, so he dies even harder. And Mundo, of course, can be played in the jungle, but with the Vi earlier on, most likely going to be in that top lane, and not picking up the AD carry just yet, but there's no need to prioritize that, since Luciano has already been taken by Triple Lol. I almost stumbled over a different team name, but Kha'Zix is being hovered over.
And we've had Kha'Zix locked in, we've had Lee Sin locked in, and the Sivir picked up very quick for the end of that one. So a departure from tanky top laners on the side of Triple Lol. They've got a little bit weaker of a team composition with regards to health, but the damage they're going to output is so much greater. They've got JWoww on Kha'Zix. That is no surprise that it was picked up for him, so maybe JWoww will look to repeat some of the games from yesterday where we saw that nonchalant Baron steal when he was playing Kha'Zix.
It was very impressive, and we could well see a repeat of that, because Cloud9 really like their early Barons, so it could be a possibility. But definitely Team Triple Lol are in good shape. They're very heavily stacked in kind of like the mid-game and like early game transition into mid-game, because they have Lee Sin, who slightly scales up in terms of damage unless he gets rolling. Kassadin will only ever get stronger. Kha'Zix can get stronger, but they're both assassins who need to get rolling and need kills for that to happen. And that's a very mobile and tanky composition. In fact, both of these teams are playing the kind of quintessential picks.
Yeah, very comfortable picks here for both teams, and get yourselves comfortable as we head into a break. It's the perfect time to enter our giveaway for Creative Sandblaster Evo ZX headset. We'll be putting the details into chat. We've also got some Be Quiet goodies to give away as well, all on Twitter, so we'll make sure that's in the chat as we go to a break. But we'll be back in a couple of minutes with game number 4 here between Cloud9 and Triple Lol. Welcome back. It's time for game 4. Cool, nearly couldn't get my words out there. I'm so excited for this series. Is game number 4. We're into the best of 5 rounds here, as Ocelot and his Lololol squad are going up against Cloud9 Europe. Cloud9 lead 2-1 after a very fast game comparatively, with 2 longer games opening this series. And with Kha'Zix on JWoww, I wonder whether they'll be able to bounce back into this one and tie it up 2 games apiece.
Okay, so Triple Lol are just sitting in their own bush. They might be going for a delayed invade, but the rest of Cloud9 have fanned out into their jungle entrances and just trying to stop that invasion from happening. So Forbidden just kind of chilling out in mid lane.
And speaking of that mid lane, Kassadin against Riven here in this matchup. We've already discussed that it might be a little difficult for Ocelot during the beginning of the game, but Certainly with champions like Kha'Zix and Kassadin that will benefit from earlier kills and really snowball harder throughout the game, their composition is set up to snowball this game pretty hard, provided they get an early lead.
Indeed, and I need to make sure not to call him Kappa in this game, as we did have Super Team EU Kappa in the tournament previous, who were taken down by Triple LOL, which is Ocelote's team, who were incidentally invading the jungle. So Bivin and Ku are completely unawares of this as Diode just turns the corner, and now they know exactly what's up, jumping over the wall. He's just run away from Ku, flash over the wall, and Morden follows up. This is surely going to be first blood on to Lee Sin.
And that's exactly the start that Triple LOL needed here. You can see there's already been the reaction out of Cloud9 sending 3 members over to that topside jungle to make sure they can secure the blue buff for themselves. So they trade the blue buffs, but once again we're in a 2v1 situation instigated by Cloud9.
And that blue buff, funnily enough, did not go to a jungler, so Ku is going to have to try and take down this red buff with no help and with, in fact, he didn't pop a pot, so he should be okay, but he's only going to have 1 buff, not going to be able to hit level 3 very easily and get quickly to those ganks, whereas Lee Sin is in the perfect opportunity to go for those ganks himself.
The blue buff is, however, on Sivir. That's going to allow them to shove even more than they would before, and Sivir is very good at clearing waves. It's going to give you the extra mana regen to be able to throw out that boomerang blade even more often with the ricochet as well. So expect to see a heavy push here from Sivir and Karma in the top lane.
Indeed, so Azrande once again is 1 versus 2. And just trying to survive against Diode, who has already landed a hook and will be flaying Adamne backwards, but they didn't quite have enough damage to completely take him out of action, but enough just to try and annoy him and make his life difficult to farm the CS underneath this turret.
The mid lane matchup is already working out in the way that Cloud9 will expect it to. There's a CS advantage on Riven, even with that early pressure being put on them in the jungle. So watch for Forbidden to go as aggressive as possible on Kassadin without diving that tower, because Riven will be able to duel Kassadin 1v1 for a little bit longer in this game.
Indeed, and right now at the top lane, it's going to be a 2 versus 2. Morden doing exactly what he did in the first game, or rather the first or second or one of those. It's been so many games in this best of 5 series here, Stress, but Morden, he is definitely following suit with the Vi play, where he is going to be doing that in the wrong order.
Thankfully, though, there are only 5. Well, I say thankfully, I mean there can only be 5, because then we don't have to keep much count further. But Ocelot in trouble in the mid lane. Ignite will tick him down, and that's why you pick Riven into Kassadin.
And that is absolutely perfect, because Kassadin needs to be shut down early, and Forbidden is going to be doing just that. Diode takes a cleaver, but with vibing in the bottom lane, it's going to be duo lanes all around, and the fact that it's going to be the duo lane there means that it's going to be a more passive early game, unless Lee Sin manages to ambush them at top lane. But usually if you do have that 2 versus 2, the other jungler will try and start ganking, but that's not going to be the case.
Well, it looked like Ku was aiming for a gank, got good damage onto Yuki with the Vault Breaker and the follow-up, but not quite able to convert that into any kill or any summoners burned. Yuki does still have flashdown from earlier on in the game, still a minute or so on the cooldown of that, but Morden is trying to get himself into more places to be aggressive. But very similarly to game number 2, where Ku played Lee Sin, he's kind of struggling to get into lane against this heavy pushing Sivir and Karma because of the mobility of that lane, and he's finding it a little difficult to continue the aggression that was started earlier on, but Adamnus got hooked.
Indeed, Diode is on point with these hooks this game, but in mid lane rather, Forbidden almost picking up this kill. He may well do. One auto attack will secure the kill, but going a little too deep and dying as well. The minion wave would just equalize itself out, but I feel he was kicking himself. One more auto attack when he was outside of that flash would have gotten that.
Yeah, he had to flash forward. That's not really what he would have liked, and of course, not being level 6 didn't have that wind slash available, which would have certainly converted that into a kill. But they pick up another kill nonetheless. They, however, gave one to Kassadin, which isn't the best case scenario, but there's about to be a spike in global gold as another turret, well, as the first turret should be about to fall for Cloud9 when the next minion wave arrives in the top lane.
JWoww was on about 3rd HP, but Lee Sin looking for the gank, and Xionin won't be just taking that quite happily with the shielding from Inspire.
Bottom lane tower is pushing in for Triple Lol as well, but there's an engagement in the bottom and in mid.
Yeah, Vault Breaker has come across. We'll touch on middle in a second, and that's probably going to be right now because the Domine does not connect the cleaver, and neither does the hook land. And once again, Forbidden is doing fantastically against Kassadin.
He hit level 6, Windslash was available, and now that's 3-1 to already 44 CS to 22. Let's check the gold difference between the two. It's nearly 1,000 between the two mid laners, and we're only 6 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and Ocelot seems to be crumbling under this pressure, and he doesn't have a jungler to really assist him, since Lee Sin has spent all his time at top lane keeping this tower alive, which has eventually fallen down to Hyanan. And now in the bot lane, Ku has been caught out along with Odamne, who will be okay in the long run.
Odamne trying to farm there to get the experience. Got it, actually. Knew that Sadism was available from using that cleaver to kill the last minion, so great awareness there of his own experience. But he has stepped too forward. Even with Sadism ticking, it's about to run out. Can they convert this to a kill? Not quite. He gets to the safety of his tower.
Indeed, but not sure how well he can defend this. He's going to be using Cleaver to last hit, but the tower is going to take a beating. Morden has spent this entire game playing tower defense and now trying to defend the blue. Ocelot picks it up before Voidal and John get there.
That will be a bit of a saving grace there for Ocelot, but another tower has taken critical damage as Cloud9 take their second, so the snowball composition for Triple Lol has been stalled out here. And is it too late? Well, we're only 7 minutes into the game. It's not too late to come back into this one. I forget that we're not 50 minutes deep into a game at all, but Cloud9 are taking a good early lead.
Yeah, it's not like Season 2 where it could be, yeah, the game is right over, it's actually over about now, but that's not the case in Season 4 when we do have these kind of more prolonged games. But 2-1 and the next dragon, or rather the first dragon. I want to say next dragon since we've had so many games between these two teams, it does feel like the next dragon, but there we go, the first dragon of the game falling to Cloud9.
And each game so far has had different tells in it. We've had the game where Ku went very, very strong early on in game number 3. We've had the game where Triple Lol were able to out-team fight and really outmaneuver Cloud9 in game 2. And in this one, it looks like we're setting up for it to be Forbidden's game, being 3-1 so far. Can Ocelot and JWoww and the rest of Triple Lol bounce back into this one? Because as long as they start picking up kills onto Kha'Zix and Kassadin and start getting their core items down, you're looking for the Rod of Ages onto Kassadin, as well as the tier. As soon as you get to that point, if you start picking up kills, you can come back into this game with great team fights.
It can be very frustrating playing against a Kassadin, Kha'Zix, or even several other assassins like Katarina who just need a couple of kills, even like Fizz as well, who I was thinking of, who will pick up kills, and even if they're like 0 and 6, they get 2 kills when you get 30 minutes into the game, and then they become relevant again. So it's about not only shutting them down, but keeping on top of them.
Catalyst tier was what I was looking for on that one, but we can see the beginnings of the Catalyst out here from Ocelot. He's started to get back into the farming game, and that's because he's started reaching the level where he's got mobility. Riftwalk is available, so he can freely move around that lane, not really worry as much about Riven's immediate potential to kill him. You can see him even drifting forward to put attacks down, but there's a lot happening in the middle lane, and it looks like they might kick off an engagement.
They're going to try this collapse, and Forbidden lands a huge wind slash onto Yuki, drops him low. Q is chasing down Lee Sin. Odame nukes down Yuki as he's on the retreat. Diode is just going to walk back into them and make sure he can try and save Ocelot's life. Indeed, he will. 2 for 0 in that engagement.
The 3-man key burst set that fight up beautifully for Cloud9, and Forbidden followed it up with the damage. The wind slash completely sliced through Yuki. Yes, they had to expend a flash or two to make sure they got the kills, but they got a lot from that team fight, and now they can rotate around and pick up even more objectives. They've already got 2 towers.
And this is going to be the third, surely going to fall in the bottom lane as John just needs a couple more seconds with it, and it will be dropping into rubble. But 2-5 will be the scoreline, and a 3k advantage 10 minutes into the game from Cloud9, already looking confident against this team of Triple Lol, which will be Ocelot's team, who have found themselves Morden, who in his own jungle jumps over the wall. Will the Ignite be enough? In fact, it will be. Tried to smite the Golem using the spell vamp from W. Alas, it was not enough.
He was a little too close to the golem as well, because the animation at least begun. I'm not sure whether it was in fact the golem that killed him, but Karma picks up the kill for the scoreboard. And look at the difference in CS here between AD carries. That is an absolutely staggering difference for 11 minutes. Sivir has been farming almost perfectly. Lucian has been completely delayed in his farm. The fact we're 50 CS down at 11 minutes is almost unheard of.
Yeah, you generally look at the scoreline and say, well, it's 4.5k, it's a lot, but it's not something you can't come back from. But then you look at how bare the item builds are currently from Triple Lol, how far they are behind in basically all of their lanes. And even in the second game, we said, well, Ocelot is their kind of redeeming or saving grace when he was on Grag. I believe that was the third game, actually. But this time, he's 1-3. And yes, they have those assassins who can always clean up, but they need to be ahead enough to actually bring them that low.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this double assassin style, is without a frontline champion in the jungle, yes, Lee Sin is a frontline champion, but he doesn't have the utility of a champion such as Vi, who will 100% of the time secure her target. You have to be very, very careful with Lee that you pick your targets correctly. Without that damage soak, it's difficult to get into the backline without dying or getting crowd controlled before you get there. And that's somewhere where we're already seeing Ocelot and Kha'Zix start to stutter on.
Yeah, and it was all from champion select because Kayle was banned out, so it was a very easy decision for Ku to say, okay, I'll just take Vi, and there's very little you can do about it now. Forbidden just tanking all this damage up, and Morden trying to get his own blue buff. I was expecting him to be stealing this away, but he's on the retreat. Ku will be using Assault and Battery. Forbidden over the wall. Key burst into Windslash, and Adamne with the cleaver for good measure picks up that kill.
Cloud9 had the opportunity to decide which of the three they wanted to give that kill to. It was that cut and dry for that kill there. But Ocelot hops over the wall, tries to land some damage. Will this work out for him?
They are trying to just remove the minion wave because getting a kill here is probably not their main objective. As Ku is looking quite scary, ward over the wall, and they're still hanging around. However, Forbidden is looking to recall very shortly.
There's a little bit of a scrappy engage in the bottom lane, but I think Cloud9 are just looking to harass with that boomerang blade. But there's an engage in the top jungle.
Yeah, Vault Breaker hits too, and they're both forced to jump out. And I believe that was the flash from JWoww. So, again, those summoners are just being chewed up from Cloud9.
One thing you have to wonder in this game is how much emphasis Triple Lol put on Kassadin. If you pick a champion first, you say this is going to be the strongest champion on our team, and wow, Yuki gets shredded down. And the Kassadin is not working out for them. 1-3 so far. Yes, the makings of the Rod of Ages is there already. Forgoing the tier because you won't have the time to stack it. But you haven't reached the point of the game where you're getting those kills to make Kassadin able to compete in fights. He's got the CS back, has a very slight lead, but it's not enough yet out of Ocelot. But if one player can do it in this game, Ocelot surely is the one to be consistent.
Absolutely, and Voidal has been caught. Well, I say caught, but he's just going to actually walk out away from Morden, who is usually the guy who will be shutting you down when you're just casually taking a stroll through your jungle. Ku going to be smiting that one away and actually miss, so Jarman picks up the dragon.
Yeah, and that's a big gold lead right now. 6,000 gold is the difference, and pretty much 1,500 of that is between the AD carries, very similar to, I believe it was the top laners in the previous game. It looks like Triple Lol have been able to farm up because of the lanes pushing in towards them. It means they've had more out of the waves recently, but Civ is still keeping herself well up in farm over her lane counterpart, whereas Kha'Zix has started to get some farm with that Tiamat. So it's not over for Triple Lol. They have to stall this out and pick up a few kills, though.
They have decent wave clear, especially with Lucian's the piercing light and the ability to just at least use the Tiamat to stop Mundo from becoming a huge threat in the top lane. But it was always going to be a risky composition by not only the first pick Kassadin, but by picking JWoww's Kha'Zix into it, especially when you're against a Mundo. It's basically saying, I will get kills in the early game, otherwise I lose this game.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you kind of have to achieve with Kha'Zix, and a 0-0-0 at this point. Yes, it means he hasn't died, but it also means he hasn't had any effect on the game at all yet. And a Kha'Zix at 15 minutes with no effect on the game is not where you want to be.
Indeed, and it's not like his farm is spectacular, only 20 ahead of Adamne, and Ku is off to the side, knowing that he is there, more than will spot him out, so JWoww does not really want to be going too far, and Ku at least keeps the ham under wraps.
Yeah, and Odamna, I mean, JWoww's objective here is to just shred through people as Kha'Zix does, but you saw him engage onto Odamna and not really get enough damage at all. Most of the damage came from Odamna having to pop Sadism, as that will deal a percentage of his health as a cost. So it's one of those factors that JWoww just needs to get the ball rolling, and some kills here may do it.
Indeed, they have jumped onto Ku, and does he have a flash? Yes, he does. And now he flashes over the wall. Ocelot is not able to go any further. He already used the Rift Walk to try and deal the last amount of damage. So actually very good bait from Ku, making them think he didn't have the flash.
But this allows Jarman and Voidal to rotate around to the middle lane. The wave has appeared. It is a cannon wave as well, so look at how fast Sivir clears. Luckily for Triple Lol, they're there to clear the wave through and make sure that Cloud9 aren't able to push down that wave, but Triple Lol are aware of just how quickly Sivir is going to be able to push into their base.
Indeed, so Morden finds O'Darnay, but again, he's just not a target they can even 2v1 without him just walking out of the action. Forbidden now starts as a roam, now that Ocelot has shown that he doesn't want any of this aggression. Diode just has to concede this turret. In fact, the hook will land onto Forbidden, but now this has just created an arena for him to destroy his AD carry. The Broken Wings comes out, and Ocelot has arrived, but he doesn't have the damage to instantly kill down Forbidden. Maybe this will be it. No, it's not. Valor comes to the rescue, does not land the Q, and JWoww does not even have the damage to scratch Hyonan.
Another brilliant key strike out from Riven there. Just locking down both members after they aggressed upon him is just what they need to do here, and I don't know how they deal with this 4-in-1 Riven. She's itemizing so well, has picked herself up extra items, extra damage, and that those cooldown boots to make sure that that rotation comes back faster, and Cloud9 are looking incredibly strong here.
Yeah, and Ku is just going to carry on taking the blue buff and try and push Morden away, saying, this is my blue buff, I may not be a counter jungler, but you're gonna get insect into my team. JWoww coming in, and they finally get a kill onto Ocelot.
And they will secure their blue buff, which will be a nice consolation prize for them right now in this game so far, but they need to be having their eyes on the bigger prize in this Game 4, all-important Game 4, as this is pretty much last chance saloon here for Team Lololol, as they need to pick up a win here to prevent Cloud9 from just taking home first place, but there's a big collapse coming in the bottom lane, and it looks like Cloud9 are surrounding.
Well, good luck, Yuki, and now with the Broken Wings coming in, they're going to leave him to the other two in his lane. Winslash comes across and picks up one. Voidal just going to allow Jonan to pick up that kill, and that's 2-0 in the bottom lane with that 3-man collapse.
Yeah, now Forbidden, Jonan and Voidal will look to push this even further with the minion wave arriving, but this is so early on into the game to be pushing an inhibitor tower. 19 minutes compared to the games we saw, games 1 and 2. This is an incredibly different game to those two, but oh so similar to game number 3.
Yeah, when Cloud9 get into their groove, they just roll the punches, and it doesn't seem like anything can stop the freight train.
And that freight train right now is Forbidden. 5-1. This is his game now, because we've seen Ku shine yesterday. We've seen Janan shining all tournament long. And to be honest, Forbidden's had fantastic games all tournament long, but never to this point. Never has Forbidden been 5-1 at 20 minutes into the game and absolutely just running rampant on to their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, we always expect amazing plays, but this is even more amazing, and Dialed just wants to... all he wants to do is ward his own jungle, and he won't even be allowed that.
Nope, no chance, not getting a ward out there. Forbidden is 2v1ing against a Kassadin and a Lee Sin, and they're forcing the retreat. Forbidden has to be careful he doesn't go too aggressive. He's dropped down below half health. Riftwalk doesn't land the mark as Ocelot tried to prevent him from escaping over the wall, just walks back through the lane.
Yeah, almost thought he was going to use the resonating strike to jump onto Riven to knock back Jonan, but didn't choose to do so. Don't want to make any unnecessary plays at this stage in the game, and they are just trying to hang on for dear life, because Dragon is going to fall, and they actually steal this away. Well, Fretcher's on the board, but he's also been taken down, so not even a steal attempt.
There's a bit of a strange thing going on in this game, in the fact that JWoww is doing very well for himself in a normal game. Zero, well, not dying so far and out-farming your opponent who's Mundo by 30 is very good, but he's not having any effect. So the fact that he's doing well does absolutely nothing for Triple Lol here.
Yeah, it's like if you were in solo queue, you would be very happy with that result. You're in a competitive tournament with £3,000 on the line. You're not so happy with that result, and he's just sitting in the top lane, desperately just trying to become relevant. He has stayed up past the curve, so he will be able to collect a kill and snowball off of it. But not if Forviven just keeps on killing his allies. Leap will be used already on that second evolution.
And it's a sign of how consistent JWoww is as a player. Very well respected as a top laner. And I mean, you can see, even under this much pressure from Forviven, he's able to do well and escape all of these opportunities that a very strong Forviven has to kill him.
Yeah, he is definitely renowned as a good player, and Diode heading around the side, seeing if we can get himself a catch. But Ku is also looking to do the same. Odame just get hooked, but it's not really the target or the prize fish that Diode was looking for.
And Cloud9 are confident enough to fight this as actually JWoww turns the aggression on.
Yeah, he uses sadism, but more importantly, does a fight onto Diode and the rest of his team. One drops. There's the assault and battery onto Ocelot, who jumps onto Forviven, trying to just take down that huge damage threat. Keyburst comes down. Morden will surely be the next one to fall into Yuki, and the last one to survive is JWoww. That's going to be the GG called by Ocelot. He will pick up the shutdown, in fact, and the double kill for Ku. And GG's all around as the Nexus falls. That's the surrender, and that will be Cloud9 taking this 3-1 in his best of 5 series for the Scan EU West Winter Invitational.
That was a crazy